Start the recording. So, welcome to the second live session. We were going to do this every other week, but we decided to do one today because we had a lot of demand. So we're going to do this one today, Tuesday, March, what is it, 2nd? March 2nd. So last Sunday, not this past Sunday, but the previous Sunday before that, we talked about Apple and we talked about this zone right here. And we said that, I was having a lot of difficulty getting out of this zone. And we said beneath that zone, it was not good. It was basically distribution if it got out of this zone. So here we did get out of this zone. We hit that 100 day, and then we popped up and we hit that zone again and we rejected so far. Right now we are holding that 100 day on the daily, but we did reject that zone. We do have a downtrend that has formed and a possible channel. So if we remove this and remove these couple things, zoom out a little bit, we can see that bearish channel forming on Apple. Now, when we go into our lower time frames here, we do have one positive. We do have a bullish divergence on the hourly forming on Apple, but it's not that strong. It's not that strong. So if we do not break that 128, then essentially we're going to continue this downtrend down. Once we break this divergence here, we can continue down. But the stochastics is showing us another positive of a possible bounce. So the stochastics are below the 20, and it is meshing up with the slow stochastics. The fast and slow are touching, and they're about to cross, and this signals a bounce. So this can definitely bounce. Looking at Apple and looking at the possible divergence and a bounce, then we could go and suggest it's going to try to get back inside of that range that we talked about, above 128. Now we do have a gap here. So gap fill on the daily, and that's about 133. So gap fill, we could come back and gap fill there. You see that we had a gap here, came back, gap filled, and then fell. That is the only gap that I see for here for now. Can we come back and fill this gap and still be bearish? Yeah, we can, just because we haven't made a higher high yet. So we would have to break 138 in order to make that higher high. Can we come up, fill this gap, come to this 138, and then reject? Sure. And then form a little inverse head and shoulders? Sure. But first we got to get over this 128. Today we couldn't do it. Tomorrow we could possibly do it. Stochastics on the daily suggest that the bounce is still in effect. On the 4-hour, stochastics are slowing actually to the downside. But on the 1-hour, the stochastics are bouncing up, signaling, hey, there is a possible a bounce coming for Apple. So we'll see how that affects tomorrow. If this bull flag on the hourly is going to fire up, we do kind of lean that way only because if we go back to the daily and then let me double check something. Was it QQQ? Yeah, it was QQQ. So QQQ, yesterday, if you were in the Discord, we back tested this uptrend, and I suggested puts to push down. We do have a gap here, but we also have an inverse head and shoulders forming right here. So here's one shoulder, here's the head, and then we are forming the right shoulder here. I suggested a wait to about today. I suggested about 317 would be the area to buy. But let me exactly see where that gap fill is. That gap fill is about 316, but we could definitely hold that 317 as it's pretty good strong support. It was resistance here, support here. I mean, we even have some support right here at 318. But I would really like it 317. If it hit 317, that would be a nice right shoulder, and then that could form, and then that could push back up to about 334, 335. Again, the stochastics are signaling that there's a possible bounce tomorrow. And then with the RSI, once that breaks that, gets back above 50, that bounce should be evident. So this is why when you look at Apple and you see that it's trying to get above that 128, it has little struggles, but then we see that bullish divergence on the hourly, and then also the stochastics telling us that there's a possible bounce higher coming. Then we could lean towards that, as QQQ is signaling the same thing. QQQ signaling that inverse head and shoulders forming, and if it gets to 317, that'd be great. If it doesn't, 318, it could be good enough, and then it could form that right shoulder. It's not going to be a big right shoulder. It's going to be a small right shoulder. I think 317 would be a better right shoulder, but it could signal right there. So in that, I don't think we're looking at any other techs today, but QQQ and Apple could have a bounce tomorrow. Whose question was that? Did that answer your question on what we think Apple's going to do? Okay. All right. So let's take a look at V. So V, we really like V and Mastercard, and we've been liking it for a while, but it's just been consolidating sideways for quite a few months. We got big bearish divergence on the monthly, but we think it's going to break to the upside. So we think that divergence is going to break, and I think it could break this month. Going to the weekly chart, we have that big consolidation in there. We already have gap fills that have been filled already, and we basically hit all-time highs, but we're still like struggling to get over. I think once this gets over that 220, this thing could start running. We got a squeeze on the daily, on the weekly. We got a big squeeze on the monthly. We got on the daily. We have a nice bull flag pattern that is setting up very nicely, and I think once this breaks that 220, this should fly. It also has a cup and handle that is forming. So Visa looks good. It's been struggle bus at 220, but I think once that 220 passes, this one's gonna run. So what you want to do, you want to put that resistance level 220.50. 220.50 and signal that as a major breakout on basically all time frames, and put your alerts there, because once that breaks that 220.50, that is gonna run. That's on Visa. So put your alerts here. Put your alerts there, and right now it's forming a cup and handle as we hit this 220, and then we hit this 220 again, and now we're consolidating. We're also forming bull flag. So bull flag, cup and handle pattern. I might consolidate for a little bit. So longer term options are better on this one. We are seeing a pullback in volume, which is good in this consolidation, because we got some good pop on the volume on these 3 candles up, and then we're getting some consolidation here. Getting some consolidation. That could last for a couple days or for the week, but I think that it looks pretty good, especially we had a bullish engulfing candle on our last week, and this one, hopefully this breaks that 220.50 this week, and then that would signal for the run to go. But as of now, we're watching it, and we're watching it for a crossover that 220.50. Once it crosses over that 220.50, all signs are go. But until then, you could buy long term out to August, maybe even January if you like. Very long term. This would consolidate probably at most within the month, and it should be firing off within the end of the month or next month. But I don't think it takes that long. I think it should. I think it should go within the next couple weeks, the next 2 weeks, whether it's this week or next week. I think this one wants to go and break that 220.50. In saying that, we have its almost identical brother, Mastercard, and Mastercard has pretty much same thing. Nice squeeze, bearish divergence, but it looks like it's going to break to the upside. Stochastic's looking great. Nice consolidations. Nice consolidation all through here for months. Weekly looking good. Bullish engulfing here and getting up above here towards the all-time highs. Major squeeze on the weekly chart. All indicators looking great. Momentum's up. Daily is looking even better than Visa's, where it has that nice 3 candles up and then consolidating sideways. This one doesn't have a cup and handle like Visa, but it has a nice big bull flag that is very strong. So this one could be set up to push to 400 in the next month or two. This consolidation is perfect. This volume here on these 3 candles are beautiful, and then we have the decreased volume on the sell-off, and then that is continuously decreasing. And then once it's ready to go, once it breaks that 368.79, this one should be ready to fire off and head towards that 400 area. So Visa, Mastercard looking very well off that consolidation, major consolidation of months and months and months. Once it leaves this consolidation, which it's trying to right now, it should not look back, and it should head higher to past 400. 412 is our first monthly target, and then I think it's 470 is our next monthly target. So this one could be a 100-point mover in this year coming, or I mean in this current year. All right. Anybody have questions about MasterCard or Visa?
They got a lot of 420 calls, Steve, for 618. So they're out of the money.
For June?
And yeah, they're buying them for June for 420s. So that's just something too. They're like $9 or something like that.
$9.
Yeah.
for
Let's
this
see.
year.
Yeah, June 420.
June
Actually, they're cheaper.
420.
Yeah, they're cheaper than that. They're about 650-ish around there.
So let's see, June
June
420.
420.
Yeah, they're about 660. Yep. All right, $660. Yeah, 108 days away. I would consider those. I would like let's see, they don't have any August ones. No, July to October. So no
They got
August
July
ones.
375s.
420. Oh, these ones jump a lot. Let's see. Let's see, July. I guess the June those June ones aren't bad price either. Considering the jump from June to July is about another $200. Yeah, those look good. Um, yeah, you got 108 days. The implied volatility is only 30%. That's actually pretty good. So these options right now for MA, these are actually very cheap options for long term. 30% implied volatility is very low. Very
Yeah,
low.
400 for April too.
Yeah,
They're about
typically
three.
for typically implied volatility like that would be in like the 40s. This one's in the low 30s, 31%. It would be better in the 20s, but 31% is pretty good for 108 days out. And you are set up pretty nicely on all time frames. This is daily, weekly, and monthly. We could check out lower time frames, and I don't see anything crazy there. Here, oops, here we go. Here we got a nice big base. So whenever you have a scoop like this, that's a nice base. So that's a base, and now it's setting up pretty much, it already fired up and it back tested, and now it's holding. So this one's getting ready to keep going. This one's getting ready to keep going. Looks good. Above 50, DMI is good. Stochastic's good. Mastercard and Visa, you got to keep those on your watch list. These ones are gonna go. Looks very good. Very good. All right. Next one on our list, we have let's see, RKT, Rocket. All right, so Rocket had a huge day today. We go to hourly, looks better. So Rocket had a huge day today. We had a push, a build, push, a build, and then push, and now we're building. I think this one has another leg up, and this could possibly go to 60 in its last leg up. It could go even more, but I think that and this big push, it is the most evident push, and it gets people running and jumping towards it. And once that keeps going, it's going to pop up again, and more people are going to be running and jumping to it, and then that's when people are going to start exiting. So I think this has another push to possibly 60, 61, 6150. 6150. Can it go higher to 70? It can, but I think if you're in it already, and or if you get in it in the rounds, the 40s or 30s, then 60 is a good area to take those profits. 60 is a very good area to take those profit. Hourly targets, first one is 50, second one is 57. The monthly target one is 6150. We have some concerns here where the average is already crossed over the green DMI. which is telling us that, maybe it's getting a little tired. RSI is all the way at 93. It's getting a little tired. Stochastics is coming down a little, signaling it's getting a little tired. But I think that if it doesn't hold 37.85, it should hold 33. And if it does hold 33, it could set up to keep pushing towards that. I think there could be a couple fake outs, as this is a pop monster. So this pops, it's heavily shorted. So it's going to get these kind of pops, kind of like a Tesla pop. And can we gap down and set up and then push up again? Yes, most definitely can. So this one still has some legs. It is extended a little, but it doesn't mean that it can't extend a little bit more. I think it could extend one more time before it seals the deal to push back down, because we have what are we on? Our monthly, weekly, 76, not bad. Our monthly, not even enough information to support it. All right, so here, again, we hold 37.85, good to go higher. We hold 33.12, good to go higher. We lose that, and then we have some issues. Okay, but if we could hold these two supports, then we're good to go higher. As of right now, it's holding the first support at 37.85, so it's good to go higher so far. So this is just building out a bull flag. If that bull flag is held, then we continue to go to 50, 57, and 61. If it is not, we come here, consolidate in between these two areas, which stocks tend to do that. We consolidate into those two areas and then pop back above 37.85 and then continue to go. If you would like, just put a alert on 45.50, but you run the risk of it popping after hours so that you can't even get any action. So these kind of stocks, they like to pop after hours. This one popped a lot during session, which is good, but typically, sometimes on these pop stocks, they like to pop after hours. So the IV is going to be high. Let's see, how big is the IV? Yeah, IV is pretty high. It is in the this one, March, is in 230 IV. That's pretty high, and all the other ones are in the 150s. This week's 173, 147 next week. The highest one is just March 19th. That's the highest one. But these are pretty high IVs. So if you want to buy the stock, probably be better. You'll make some money still. Be less risky than the options. But if you want to buy the options, just know that it has high IV. So if we do get into this consolidation zone between 33 and 37, then you run the risk of having options murdered from time decay. But if we hold and it just keeps running and the momentum keeps up, I mean, it had 2,800% over average volume today. So that is a lot of buying, a lot of short covering. If it continues, it's gonna, that momentum, then IV is not gonna be an issue because it's gonna keep going and IV is actually gonna increase and your options are gonna increase in value. But if it doesn't, consolidates, and I mean, considering where it closed, I think it could keep going. But if we do gap down a little bit and consolidate, I think that it would be better just to exit your position and then get closer to the close before it keeps going. Just because you don't want to run the risk of it consolidating all day and eating up all of your time, or killing it with your time decay because it has a high IV. Because what happens when it consolidates is the IV starts to come down because it's not moving. The only reason why IV is so high is because it kept moving. So IV increases because it's appreciating. So as that happens, IV keeps rising, 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 rising. So the market makers are increasing the cost that they're going to be selling these for because the stock keeps moving and moving. Now, if it pulls back, consolidates, goes sideways, then IV is going to come down because market makers are like, okay, it's not moving as much. We're going to decrease the price of the premiums, but then that hurts you. But if it keeps going, I mean, this could gap up again, keep going. If it does that, then you wake up and your options, if you already have some, they're going to be increased in value. And if you want to buy some, they're going to be increased because of the implied volatility is going to be higher because it continuously keeps going up. Okay, that's why Tesla options are very expensive as well. All right, so that's RKT. Now we will go into BABA. So BABA, really like BABA here. I know we posted it yesterday for this bullish Harami. This bullish Harami did not confirm today, so that was a no-go. But we do have something that is telling us that BABA does want to go. So here we have a falling wedge, okay, and we have a nice bullish divergence. And we have our stochastic signaling us that it wants to turn up. So stochastics telling us we want to turn up. Bullish divergence, as we see that we have this low, then we have a higher low, then we have a higher low. Whereas here we have a low, we have a lower low, and we have a low, the lowest low. So if we break this falling wedge to the upside, and this bullish divergence holds, along with the stochastics pushing back up, then we can definitely head higher and push towards 249.60, 260, and test this support here at 262. We'll be watching that as momentum's already slowing to the downside, and we already have the relative strength increasing and increasing. And once if this breaks to the upside, this relative strength is going to pop over 50. It tried to pop over 50 here, couldn't do it, but it made a higher low. Stochastics telling us, hey, tomorrow we're probably going to have an update on BABA. Stochastics telling us we're going to have an update. RSI is telling us we're going to have an update. Falling wedge is signaling us that we're getting tighter and tighter. So if we extend that to the right, this should get very tight here, and then we should break that and then start heading up. If you want to level to break to be bullish on, it'd be 240.30. We break above 240.30, and we should be heading higher. So once we break above 240.30, then we should be heading towards that 249 and then that 259. All right. Any questions on BABA? Nope. All right. Let's see here. So BABA, we could go on the 4-hour really quick. Same idea. BABA has that bullish divergence on the 4-hour. As this is going down, this is going up. Stochastics, not really doing much. They're kind of like just consolidating, just like that bullish divergence on the 4-hour. On the daily here, we have this going for us, which is that consolidation zone. And then we have that we're hitting that consolidation zone. So this here, signaling that we have a lot of support here, a lot of buyers right here. So this one's coming in that buy zone. Okay, buyers coming in here, buyers here. So this should turn around and pop up. And once that does that, we have this little inverse head and shoulders forming. So if we turn around here and start moving up towards that 260 and potentially push higher, we could push towards that 280, 292, and possibly the 300 area, and even more if we do get that inverse breakout. All right. Okay. So let's see here. So we did MA, VA, VA, BABA, RKT. All right. We'll do BA here. So BA here, we've been talking about this one for weeks, about this weekly cup and handle. The weekly cup and handle still looks good. Now we're forming kind of a daily cup and handle. So that daily cup and handle is forming and consolidating, kind of looking like a little bit like V on that pop and then consolidation sideways with that big green volume and then lower sell volume. So that one's looking good. This one's holding up. We just need to get it past that 228. Once it gets past that 228 resistance here, then we could pop up above that and start heading higher. That big breakout is the 245 breakout. Once we get that 245 breakout, we're going to get to what we were talking about on our first video, and that 245 is going to trigger that big breakout towards that 300 level and possibly get to that 340. And I know we have some gap fills here. We have a gap fill at 252, and let me get some more. Get some more here. We have a gap fill at I guess that's it. That 250, 252 area. Oh wait, we have a gap fill right here. 329, 330. So 330 area, gap fill, and one of our targets is was that 340. So 330 is going to be a good target to go. I know we have some long-term BA calls into August. So if this pops that 245 within the next month, I think that we could definitely get into those 300s by August on BA, if not sooner. So here we see that RSI is just basically grinding on that 50 and consolidating on it, which is very good. Stochastics just chilling. Momentum good to the upside. DMI good to the upside. Let's go 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart same. We got this little bull flag little pattern forming on the 4-hour chart with momentum to the upside. So BA is looking good. We just got to get above that 228 level, and then once we get above that 228 level, we should be heading towards that 245 level. So looks good. All time frames holding that 50 on the RSI. Holding that 50 on the RSI is very bullish. So that's telling us buyers are holding the line basically, and you know we're away from that 205 support, and this consolidation here, this consolidation here, we're above that. So we're above those consolidations and we're looking good. All right. So any questions on BA?
No.
No? Okay. All right. Let's go into another airlines, SPR. So SPR is a Spirit Aerosystems. This one had a ascending triangle pattern that it broke out of. I believe we mentioned this last session. I don't remember if we did or we were just talking about it amongst ourselves. But it broke out, hit first target, 48, and it is basically forming a nice little uptrend here. So uptrend channel here. So it might pull back a little bit, but it should be heading towards that 56.44 target. Once it gets above that 48.20, it should be heading towards that 56.44. It's been riding that 20 very nicely, so it could consolidate a little bit, but consider this one going higher along with BA, and we'll look at UNH next. Oh, I mean UAL next. But this has a nice base right here. Nice base formed here for a little while. So that base formed here, and now we're breaking out of that base. So I don't think we're going to come back inside this base anytime soon. I think that this is going to steadily just keep grinding, keep grinding, keep grinding, keep grinding up to that 56 and possibly more. Let me see if there's any gap fills here. We got some 56. There's a gap fill. 56. 56, and then I think that's it. So 56 is pretty much lining up with our targets. So that is going to be basically good target and gap fill. So price target 56.44, but our gap fill is 56. So we got to keep that in mind. So that is about another $10 move, about $9 move higher on Spirit Airlines. All right, we'll go into UAL. So UAL, same kind of bullish channel going up, and then we're just consolidating. We have this nice bull flag, rallied up, 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 and then sideways consolidation. Bull flags forming, looks good. It's going to consolidate for a little bit, possibly, and then push up to our target of 57. We had a back test of the breakout. Well, we broke out, back tested it, held it, and now we're consolidating to push away from it. So this one looks really good to go higher. UAL has been strong. It's been one of the strongest. We have a gap fill at 78. So we still have quite a few ways to go on UAL. Looks very good. Long-term hold. This one looks good. All right, now we'll take a look at Disney. All right, Pete, did you have anything on UAL you wanted to say?
No, it looks good. It's holding up trend, like you said, back tested the breakout. Because you see right there back in December, it had a hard time breaking through 51. So when it broke through, pushed through with that big candle to test the top of the channel, and then back tested it, left the tail, and then now it's gonna go ahead and consolidate. Looks good. I mentioned it before. I posted it in the Discord. I'm bullish on all airlines.
Okay, cool. All right, let's take a look at here. Disney. So Disney had this beautiful base here. Let's go into the monthly. So this base extends for a while. So this has been a long base that is breaking out, and this long base breakout, we're not going to come back into this base. This base is too long. It formed too long, and it's not going to come back. So once we break that 200 and we get above it, we should be heading towards that 244 and more. But as of right now, our targets are 202, 213, and 244.55. This long-term base breakout is really good. We like it. It held it. Go into the weekly. We formed this bullish channel on the weekly. And currently, we can go a little bit sideways, but it is close to its lower end of the trend line. So we like Disney above 200 and heading towards that 244. On the daily, we can see here that it's just been riding that 20 on the recent time frame. Above that 50 on the RSI. Stochastics doing fine. DMI just kind of in and out, in and out. But volume is a little low, but I think it's just consolidating a little bit. I think that it could consolidate a little bit more, but once it gets above that 200, we should start seeing some good runs. It's steadily uptrending, making higher highs and higher lows. Made a low here, made a high here, made a low here, high, low, and then we're going to make another high soon. I think we're going to break that 200, get above it, hold it, and then start running to that 213. Channel looks good. The base breakout looks good. Disney looks good. It looks good for a long-term hold all the way to that 244 and more. Any questions on Disney?
Not for me.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We already discussed Apple. Let's go to MMM. So MMM. I know it has a lot going on here, but basically what we're looking at, we have a bullish pennant formed on the daily. And when a bullish pennant is just like a bull flag, except it has a triangle pattern instead of a flag pattern. So the triangle pattern is, we're right at the tip of that triangle pattern. And I really like the candle that it put in today. It had a long wick at the bottom, right at that 50, and it stopped right at that 20. But if we go into the lower time frames, like that hourly chart, we see here that we're forming an inverse head and shoulders. So right here we have the left shoulder, we have the head, and then we have the right shoulder here. And then all we need is that big pop to form the rest of that inverse head and shoulders. We have a nice big squeeze on the 1 hour chart. We have a nice rising RSI. We have a nice rising stochastics. We're still above that 176, which is a crucial monthly support. And that inverse head and shoulders, it looks pretty good. We just need that pop tomorrow. We should get that pop. If this inverse is going to fire up, then we should get that pop. We do have a little hourly cup and handle form, but that inverse head and shoulders is the main kicker that we've been trying to play. We've been trying to play that, and it's forming. Tomorrow should be the day that it goes, because that would complete this inverse head and shoulders. 1, 2, and 3. Once it breaks that 180 mark on that inverse head and shoulders, this should run towards that 182. And let's go to the 4 hour chart, because the 4 hour chart also has a massive squeeze on it. Rising RSI right at that 50. Stochastics just going kind of sideways. But we are holding this monthly resistance above. So that is good. Squeeze looks good on the hourly and 4 hour. If the inverse head and shoulders fires on that hourly, then we should fire up, and then we should start heading towards that 185. Once we break that 185, then we should go test the all-time highs, and then once we break that, we should start heading towards that 201 and that 220 area. So we have a squeeze on the daily. We have a squeeze on the 4 hour. We have a squeeze on the 1 hour, and I believe we have a squeeze on the weekly, massive squeeze on the weekly, and a massive squeeze on the monthly. So here, worst case scenario, this is worst case scenario, is the monthly forms an inverse head and shoulders. And we don't break out tomorrow of the hourly inverse head and shoulders, which I think we still will though. But if we don't, this is the worst case scenario. We have a monthly inverse head and shoulders. And if that happens, then MMM will, or 3M will pull back towards about 360, form that right shoulder, and then head higher. But I think this uptrend has been holding pretty well on the daily. It's been holding pretty well. It's still holding. So it's still holding that uptrend. Until it's below that 50, then I won't be concerned. Below that 50, and then I'll be concerned that it's going to possibly go and break and possibly maybe fill this gap at 166, and then possibly even form that right shoulder off that 200 day. But as of now, I'm still leaning bullish. That 1 hour chart is looking very good for the inverse, especially with the positive divergences on the lower time frames. So how does SPY correlate with the MMM? Well, see, SPY, let's go back to the monthly. SPY is near its all-time highs, right? Whereas MMM is pretty much away, almost 100 points away from its all-time highs. So it's not as effective. Of course, if the market's going to sell off or if the market pops, it might have some effect. It's just going to increase whatever actions it's already doing. So when we're talking about a pop, right? So I'm going to clear all this real quick so you can see. All right. So remember I told you guys about all the base that Disney had and uh, a couple other stocks have Visa, Mastercard, BA, Disney, all those nice bases that they had. Well, MMM has the same base, right? It has a nice long base. And this is just accumulation. Now we're trying to get out of the base here. We're trying to get out of the base. And once we break this 50, this 190 area, this 50, that's pretty much preventing it on the monthly from crossing, it's gonna pop. And we do got a nice RSI push above that 50, which is awesome. We'll go to a weekly chart, and then we could see that RSI has been bouncing on that 50 very nicely, just how BA is doing currently. So we're looking at all of this consolidation. And what happens when it consolidates like this? It tends to pop hard and run long. Why is that? It's because they're accumulating shares. And when they accumulate shares, and then once it goes, and then everybody else wants to buy these shares up, the shares are going to get more expensive because there's not as many shares on supply. So simple supply and demand. There's not as much supply, then the demand is going to increase, the price is going to increase. Okay, so that's basically what we're doing here on MMM. Their consolidation is accumulating shares. Once this pops and breaks above that 190 area, then this is going to rip to that 220 and even more. And again, we have price targets into the 300s with this, right? So this one, we have to wait some time on it, but it's going to go. Squeezes on almost every time frame, hourly, 4 hour, daily, weekly, monthly, all set up to go. You got anything you want to add to it, P?
Yeah, no, I agree. The only reason why I say that, this is a stock that can be traded pretty much all year because it's going to run, is because when we confirm that 180 and that 185 specifically, um, when we get there and we break above there and we have a close on the weekly above it, that not only will signify the monthly trend starting from its breakout, but it'll also start to push on the monthly and head to that 220 and then start its track to positive growth, because there's a lot of stuff that I went over this weekend on the back end or the fundamentals. So they're showing positive growth just this last quarter. They haven't showed positive growth for the past 3 years. So their cash flow is coming in. They're a pandemic staple. And some people might say, hey, you know what? The masks are not going to be used, or they might not be prevalent in the future or for the remainder of the year as much. But overall, it's got good background, good fundamentals. It's a dividend aristocrat. It pays like $3. And they're steady increasing their dividends for the last 62 years, even throughout its travels for price action. So it's a good company overall, but I do like it above 185. If we can get that this month, that'll be solid. Because this month will be closing out above 185 and then triggering more push for higher.
Right. Yeah. And this inverse head and shoulders is targeted to hit that 185. So it all lines up pretty well. So these squeezes, these positive divergences, they all are signaling on the lower time frame what we're seeing on a possible higher time frame. So we stay long on this until we lose basically this 174.60. We lose that 174.60, then we could possibly be heading lower into that 165. So the key staple is at 176. We've been holding that pretty well. We did dip below it, but that was only to make the head of the inverse head and shoulders. Every other time we got below it, we got right back above it. So I think that they're holding that. They're holding that 176, and it's looking good to go. If this doesn't go tomorrow, then possibly get some hedges on it. But it looks like it's ready to go tomorrow, because that inverse head and shoulders is pretty much set up. If it goes after hours, great. If it doesn't, then it should be going during the trading day tomorrow, which you could trade it tomorrow. You could trade it with some lottos. We could trade it with some next weeks, or just trade it long term. And you're gonna succeed either way if this is gonna fire off this inverse. Everything's saying it is. Can it not? Sure. Some news could come out. Something could always come out. There's always things that could come out, wild card situations that could come out and then prevent the stock from doing what you see the charts insinuating it's going to do. But initially, what we're seeing is a nice strong base at 176 with the inverse head and shoulders formed on a daily bullish pennant, which has also an uptrend on the weekly and squeezes on all time frames with positive divergences. So that's why we are maintaining our hold on and long on MMM, and we're going to continue to unless things get ugly on this. Let's see. We had Neo. Somebody wanted Neo. Let's look at Neo. So Neo popped to that 67, and then it's been kind of just selling off straight line. It lost its 100-day. It's maintaining this downtrend here. If we break this low here at 41.66. We break that low, then we're possibly going into that 35.80. So that 35.80 is going to be a nice area to buy long term. We do have a nice squeeze firing down, but we are maintaining above this low here. If we break that low, well, if we break this low here, then it's a good chance that we head down to 35.80. That 35.80 area should be a good area, but we also could come back down to this 200-day very quickly and then bounce right back up to that 35.80. That 35.80 is going to be a monthly support. So in that, it just needs to hold it throughout the month. It doesn't need to hold it in during the day. So what that means is it could break through it, hit to 2029. We could even on a weekly time frame, we could even come down to this gap here at 31 and hit that and then come back up. But what we're looking at is there's also a gap down here at 22, but I'm not sure it's going to get that low. But 35.80 is our area of where we anticipate a nice bounce. So a nice bounce is what we're anticipating at 35.80 if it doesn't hold here at this low at 41.66. We do have a bullish pattern on it where we have a bullish it's a bullish bat pattern where we basically head up here. We got a here, and then we got this area here setting up. So we got this little bullish bat set up, but if it doesn't hold here, we bounce here. If it does hold here, we bounce here. So that's what we're looking at NEO. We're looking at that at NEO, but we're respecting this downtrend. If you want to just look at the downtrend and then create an alert on the downtrend and say, you know, when it breaks that downtrend, you want to jump in it, then that's fine. But we're looking at 35.80 for the bounce, and if it doesn't hold that 41.66. P, you want to add anything to that?
It's a little, no, you good.
Okay. All right. So so I had a couple. Any questions on NEO? Somebody, of course, everyone always wants Tesla, right? Tesla. All right, so Tesla. So Tesla, we had set up for we had set this up. I had initially set up the top area at 850 quite a while ago, and it kind of just consolidated here. Now, do you guys see that here is a consolidation sideways for a while, a long period of time, and then we lost that consolidation, and then we started going down? Well, this is called distribution. Okay, this distribution, and this was that top area that I signaled quite like a month or two ago. And even though it took a while, it started distributing and started heading down. We had our target at 700 as a possible bounce area. It did bounce. It did have a nice bounce, but now it's just kind of consolidating there. If that 700 does not hold, then we're gonna lose that 630, and we're gonna head to that possible. Where is it at? I think I mentioned 580 before. Is it 580? I think it was 580 I mentioned before, but about 572, 580 area, that it could be happen. We could get fill if we get some hard selling. We got a gap here at 417, but I don't know if it'll get there. Can it? Sure it can. Why is that? Well, because it's simply this. Let me clear all this. Simply because Tesla is forming a downtrend. Downtrend here. And if it continues with this downtrend, right, it continues with this downtrend here, then it's going to essentially go to this 200-day. But we got to look and see what's going to happen. Remember, we said potentially 700 was our bounce area. So if 700 was our bounce area, let me go back to our 700 area. Okay. All right, let me get that channel back. All right, there's the channel back. So now what are we going to do? We're going to look at the hourly, and we're going to see, what do we see here? Potentially we don't see any divergence. We do see stochastics telling us that, you know, we have a potential pop coming. So let's go to our 4 hours, see if we have any other information here. Okay, here on our RSI, we don't have a bullish divergence. We don't have our stochastics telling us. We do have our DMI telling us that we have a possible trend change coming soon, but nothing that's really kind of pushing us to that we need to really jump on. Worst case scenario, I think worst case scenario, I think Tesla comes back to 500. Yeah, 500 would be ideal, as that is a previous high, and also it's going to correlate with that 200 SMA. Let me see on the daily of the RSI. Nope, RSI is below 50. There's no bullish divergence. Downtrend is respecting. There's no reason for me to be bullish right now on Tesla. So until this downtrend is broken, I stay with my initial analysis of Tesla going to 580. What was that low here? This low was 619. Hit that 100-day. We break that 580, then possibly 500 could be coming on Tesla. Any questions on that?
No, but thank you very much. Excellent.
Awesome. Let's see. I could do one more. P, you got anything you want to add on Tesla?
Yeah, so I'm noticing the trend line from June of last year. We take it all the way up, and right around 570 and 590, that area is still doable to remain in the uptrend. So it still can see that area of 590, 570 if you just take the trend line all the way up, and where those two bounces came from. So yeah, from down there, June. Yeah, so still will be deemed bullish long term on the weekly. And that 580 yeah, right up in there, could still bounce there. If it fires down, it loses the 100 SMA.
Right.
So yeah, that's just something to watch for, because if it goes there, it's a good chance it can consolidate, ride the trend line, and then get ready for another run. So I would be a buyer personally at on that 580, 560 area
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
it goes there. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think my initial target on that, well, if we lost that 800 was 580 because of that trend line. But yeah, definitely we could do that. Definitely we could even come below that trend line, hit this real quick, and then come back and
yeah,
pop above that trend line as well,
yep,
creating a nice bottoming tail. Yeah, Tesla consolidates a lot, so it is at the lower, I mean the upper end of this resistance. So this can actually fall or break above. So watch Tesla tomorrow, because it could definitely do either or. It could do either
Hey,
or.
Steve, can you do
Yeah.
PLTR, please?
What
Hey,
was that?
hey, Steve, I've got a question on Tesla.
Okay.
I can see a bullish divergence on 4-hour chart. Why are you saying that's not a bullish divergence? I was wondering.
Let's see. Okay, where's your bullish divergence?
On the RSI, which is rising,
But where's the bullish divergence? So we have so here I'm gonna clear everything, and I'm gonna change the style of my charts from a candle to a line graph, right? Okay, no, that's different. So let me go back and check that one more time. All right. So here we have this low, and then here we have this low, and then essentially, this is the most recent low there. So we have that low, and that low. All right, let me change that to a line. Now that's weird. So maybe, is this candle correct? What do you have for the low of 619?
say it again, please.
For 223.21, that candle on the 4-hour chart, what is your low? Is it 619?
Kind of.
Kind of. It's either yes or no. Is the low 619?
Yeah.
Okay. And then for your low on your 225.21, is that 655?
Yep.
Okay. So considering, right? Here, let me draw it this way. Considering we established those lows, let me do it this way because I don't want to lose my drawings. All right, let's see. Considering we have it rising here, and considering we have it rising here, the divergence should look like this, where it's rising on the RSI and it's decreasing on the stock. You see what I'm saying? So the
Yeah, that makes
RSI
sense.
is rising and the stock is decreasing. But on Tesla, they're both rising. So there's no divergence.
So yeah, I thought it's going sideways, and that's RSI is increasing. So that kind of looks like it was a bullish divergence to me.
The only divergence I do see is it's very iffy. It's not really solid. Is that the RSI got above 50 and then got back below, whereas this didn't, right? So this didn't get above this high, whereas the RSI did get above this high. So this high did not make a higher high than this high, but this high made a higher high than this high. That's the only divergence I see there, but we're not diverging in the normal way. So there is a slight disconnect, but not a technical bullish divergence. Can you play this this ascending triangle pattern? Sure, you could play it, but it's not a traditional bullish divergence, if that made any sense.
Thank you.
Did that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Steve,
right.
quick question. On
Yeah.
Tesla going in that downtrend, but it's on the upper part of that downtrending channel, and you said, well, it could break up tomorrow. If it did break up, what would that mean? Would it continue going up, or is it just going to fail again?
So well, it already tried to break out here. I
Right.
don't know if this candle is correct or not,
It
but
is.
it okay. So it already tried to break out and it failed.
Right.
It failed. So if it does break out, so this is what happens.
You'd
when we
want
get
it
a
to hold.
breakout.
But that's
Yeah.
not the correct candle. That's not the correct candle. You don't see that in hourly chart. That's an error.
Okay, what is the
No,
correct
I was
candle?
watching that action. It went high, and then it just fell right back down.
Okay. So then it rejected breaking out of that channel. But if it does break out of that channel, we want it to hold above. And if it does break out, what is our target? Our target essentially is going to be here. This is going to be our target, 386, if it breaks out. If it breaks out of this channel, our target would be 336.55, which would be this consolidation that has been going through all this time.
Right.
So it would back test that and then possibly fail it because there's so much distribution here. But I think that it already tried to do that here. If this candle is correct, then it already tried to do that here and it rejected.
I think it's not true because if you go to hourly chart, you don't see that wick there.
Let's see. Let's go to a 4-hour chart. A 4-hour chart is not there. So I don't know. Let's see. I don't know what day that was. Let me go back. All right. This day is 3/1/21. Yesterday. So we'll go with a 4-hour chart. So yesterday, it looks like the high was 724. All right, so 724. So let's correct this.
What does that say? 775?
724.
Oh, no, it didn't go to 830.
All right, so then here it is. But this candle was a bearish engulfing today. So it pretty much ate that candle and the whole move. So basically, I mean, this is your setup right here, plain and simple. So
Yeah,
we have this channel, and then we have this support here, and then we have this resistance here. So if we break up, we're going to 778 and then 836. Now, if we break down, we're going to 633 and then possibly 580. So those are your two directions. We break up, we're going to 778, 836. We break down, we're going to 633 and 580.
Very concise. Thank you, Steve.
Steve, can you do Palantir Technologies, PLTR, one last one?
Yeah, I'm sure. We've done that one quite a few times. We've done that one quite a few times. I think PLTR.
Hey, while you're looking that up, what tool are you using for this?
This is Thinkorswim.
Thank you.
Yeah, PLTR is just consolidating at support 2404. Creating this is called a descending triangle pattern. So same kind of pattern it kind of created here, and then it popped up here. It's creating another one of these here. Looks like there's quite a few more days of consolidation, and then there could be a possible pop, but we need that RSI to kind of come up a little bit. We do have we have a little bullish divergence on the 4-hour chart, so that is something positive for you. We made a low here on this day, 218. Made a low here, made a low here, and then here we made a lower low, but we made a higher low on our RSI. That is a bullish divergence there. That is consolidating still. It doesn't mean that it will pop tomorrow, but it can. That bullish divergence is telling us that, hey, they are buying. They are buying here at this 100-day and this support at 2404. You can put an alert on the downtrend to see if it breaks. If it breaks that, then yeah, this could break up and head back up to 38. We do have a gap fill at 3150, but we do have a consolidation of two moving averages at about 2875. So this can move, but it does look like it has a little bit more consolidation to go.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. All right, guys. 7 o'clock's coming up. I think we're gonna end it there, but I could do one more within the next 5 minutes. So 5 minutes.
Is this for General Motors or Ford? I don't think we've talked about GM in the page.
GM, yeah, we were long. We were long GM a couple months ago. We were long GM. I said keep buy. I said buy long term.
Okay, I must have missed that.
I believe that, and then it started running pretty good.
Yeah, it's been pretty decent. I'm in GM and Ford, but I was just curious if you've been in those at all.
I think we already haven't done, so we can review them really quickly. Roku has a possible head and shoulders forming on it. I've been looking at this a couple days. Here's the first shoulder. Here's the head. And then it is forming the right shoulder now. So it's possibly going to gap fill. I think it tried to gap fill today, but it was a little short. I did mention it was going to top out around 442 area. It did go higher than that, but it looks like it's forming a distribution pattern of a head and shoulders, and it looks like it might going to be setting up to fall. Going to the monthly chart, here is a major reason why we are considering it bearish, is because this is a major rejection candle, this is a minor rejection candle, and this is a confirmation of this major rejection candle if this continues down. It's already forming a bearish engulfing of the previous month, so that is already telling us that it is bearish. But this told us that it was getting tired, and this one told us that it was extremely tired. This one is telling us that we are confirming that it is tired. Of course, the month is not over and we got some time to go, but let's go into the weekly, and then we could see that this here is called a hanging man. That hanging man was confirmed last week, and then here we're kind of continuing this downtrend formation. So if we do form that head and shoulders on the daily, then this one is going to start heading down to the 345 level. Let me see the monthly. Monthly is good, and just because it's going to fall doesn't mean that we're overall bearish to the entire Roku. It's just, you know, stocks go up and down, and this has been going up. It needs a pullback. Once it pulls back and sets up, it could go higher. But right now, it's setting up for the pullback. So the pullback on the monthly and the pullback on the weekly, anticipate that 20-day going to hit at 345. That 345 should hit, and then that should set up something. Maybe it goes a little lower, but that 345 is a good level. I think that let's see where that correlates at. 345. Yeah, the 345 correlates at this consolidation zone here. Can it go a little bit lower to this 100 day? Yeah, most definitely could go a little lower. The head and shoulders pattern would signal that we do hit that 100 day. So that 100 day can hit. Actually, we could hit actually a little bit lower than that 100 day, probably about 315, maybe 310, and then possibly even 300 actually. If that head and shoulders really does fire down, we could hit that 300, and then from there, I think that could be a setup, but it's going to consolidate for a while before it starts heading back up. All right. Let's see. Okay, I know it's 7 o'clock. A lot of people are asking about Square. Let me see what that is, because I know Square is popular. All right, so Square. Let's go. Square, kind of looking like the same thing that Roku was telling us. We got tired, very tired. This one's up above here. Let's go to the weekly. This is kind of exact same formation that Roku had actually. We had that hanging man here, that confirmation. We just don't have the confirmation down yet on this one, but hanging man confirmation here, and yeah, it's holding that 20-day right now. So that 20-day is going to be the big question. Is that 20-day going to hold? Looking like there was a very hard selling going on here. So this is going to be a big level here. This level here at 244.60, that's going to be a big level. We're going to see these two levels are going to be big levels. So 200 and 244, that's a big level. So here we have a pop, right? We dropped and then we popped and we're stuck at that 20. Okay. Now this is very important because if SQ gaps down, then that's going to be an evening start, and then it's going to continue down and it's going to form a downtrend here. It's going to form a downtrend looking like this. And that is actually going to be looking actually pretty good. So if that's going to form that downtrend, it's going to be setting up to head towards that 200 level. And if it does, it could bounce there at that 200 level and then bounce up a little bit and then come back to 244 and then also form a little head and shoulders pattern on SQ. Now, I only say that because it has the same exact pattern that Roku has, but we have to test and see if that 244.60 holds. If this 20-day rejects, then we're gonna be heading lower. If not, then this breaks up, and then it's gonna come fill this gap right here. It's gonna come fill this gap at 267, and it's gonna fill that gap. And then if it fills that gap and tries to touch all-time highs again, it needs to break this consolidation, because this consolidation here, this consolidation, this is what I call starry night. This is starry night where there's a lot of dojis around there, and it's basically just distribution. There's too many selling. There's too much sellers going on right here. Too many sellers going on right here, and then it pulls it down. It pulls it down. So if we could come back up to this gap fill and it rejects, then this could fall down. But this is telling you that there's a lot of supply here, a lot of supply in this area. Anything you want to add, P?
Yeah. Yeah, that trend line from the top at 283 coming down, it's meeting right up with that 20-day. So that's, I mean, it's got a pretty much a star on the daily for today. So I would say going into tomorrow, take the way to trade this. If you're looking into entering SQ is with the star daily on the daily, take today's high and today's low, and make that like a breakdown level. Just watch those two levels, the high and the low of today. And coincidentally, I think the low is at 244, right? So yeah, that would also go right hand in hand with your analysis on breaking below 244. So yeah, trade the star on the daily, high and the low. Breaks above, then you got to break out for the day, intraday breakout, and then you can start pushing towards that 267 and see how it does up there.
Yeah. So basically, what Pete's saying is, get the high of today's high and the low of today's low, and then if it breaks above, then you're bullish. If it breaks below, then you're bearish. All right.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, and thank you guys for coming. We'll most likely do another one Sunday. We will we'll put a poll out maybe on Wednesday or Thursday to see what stocks that you guys want us to cover, and then we'll take some questions on those. But any favorite plays for tomorrow? MMM, if the inverse is firing. If we get that inverse firing, then I would like that MMM to break out. Then that should be good. BABA, that bullish divergence looks very good. And then stocks to watch, Visa, MA, watch those because they're looking good. All right, guys. All right, I'm going to stop recording here.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Pete.